one particular type only. That is somatic embryogenesis. Means basically somatic means the body cell, right? So you take the cell from the plant body, and that cell, we know that cell is totipotent in nature. We put it into the medium and we provide them with optimum environmental parameters, it will grow to a plant. But the idea is that we don't want to make a plant. What we want to make a seed, right? We want to make an embryo. Because what happens? In a micropropagation, we can take a cell, that cell can give rise to a plant. And in conventional method, we have a plant seed, we put the seed into the soil or the medium, it can grow into a plant. But there's a difference between the plant produced from a single cell line or we are producing from the seed. The plants produced from the seed is more strong, or you can say the stronger, and which are more, which you can say that immune to infections or drought and more tolerant compared to the cell line or single cell from single cell developed things. So here also we are trying to see a phase that can we convert a single cell of the plant into an embryo, right? So an embryo which is not produced from the germ cell, which is produced from the body's cells, somatic cell, will be known as somatic embryo. So somatic embryos are formed from the plant cells that are not normally involved in the development of embryo, that is ordinary plant tissue. No endosperm or seed coat is formed around the somatic embryo. No endosperm, no seed coat, nothing is formed around the somatic embryo. It's just a body cell. What are the application of this process? Application of the somatic embryo process is to have a clonal propagation of genetically uniform plant material. We know that this particular plant, for example, XYZ, whatever plant we are working with, let's say orchid. We want to produce orchid. And orchid production, naturally, if you want to, it is more time consuming. So we are utilizing somaclonal expansion of the orchid. So we know that we don't need variation. If you don't need variation, we can take one cell and we convert that cell into an embryo. So from that embryo onwards, we can produce the same type of cell, same type of plant later on, right? So somaclonal variation can be achieved. Somaclonal variation means when we produce single cell, when we take single cell and allow it to grow into an organism plant, there is a chance that some information in the plant will alter or change. That is somaclonal variation. Somaclonal variation can be achieved, but most of the cases is retain the maternal structure or origin. And elimination of viruses. Let's say the target organism that we are working with, the cell that we are working with, the plant that we are working with is virus infected. So from that plant, we scan for the cell which is not infected yet. So we extract that cell and we put it into the conversion of that somatic cell into an embryo, right? And then allow the embryo to grow later on. Another big advantage of this somatic embryo formation is to produce artificial seed. Because if you produce the embryo, this embryo can be converted into seed, known as artificial seed technology. So because the cell is produced and the cell can be covered by some coat, right? And once we coat the cell, then we can keep it, right? Because it is a protecting layer, so we can keep it and we can allow it as an artificial seed for future times. So synthetic seed or artificial seed technology is something where we use this somatic embryogenesis. So in this process of embryogenesis, there are different stages. Normally, zygotic embryo start with a zygote. The zygote becomes globular stage, then hard stage, then mature embryo. Okay, all the different stages: globular, hard, and mature embryo. Where we have cotyledon, in this case, two cotyledons. We have stem, we have root regions, root apical meristem, where different structures will form. But in the somatic embryogenesis also, we need to have proper stages of development, because remember one thing, we are taking a single cell. That cell can give rise to a callus. The cell can form a plant without callus. Root, shoot, and all these things will be formed, and it will form an embryo, right? So you see, one particular plant cell is making undifferentiated amount of mass of cell, which is known as callus. It is making a proper polarity, that is shoot and root, that is plant, fully formed plant, and embryo. It can also form an embryo. So all these cases, they are different. They are different structures, right? And as there are different structures, they are produced in a different way. They're produced in a different way. And as they're produced in a different way, obviously, we need to guide it. We need to guide that plant cell to form either callus, or to form the plant polar structures, or to form somatic embryo, right? Depending upon how we train them, depending upon what we provide them with, what we supply them with. Stages of somatic embryo. We have induction to begin with, development and maturation. First, induction. This is step number 1. Second one is development and maturation. So, induction is a time where generally it's induced with auxin. We'll see that in a moment. Then development and maturation has multiple stages: globular stage, heart stage, torpedo stage, and then germination. Right? So what we have, globular stage, where the embryo is very small and round, multicellular structure. Okay? Heart stage has a bilateral symmetry. Remember? Heart stage has a bilateral symmetry. Shape changes to a heart. Shape with more cotyledon development. Heart shape, why is formed? Because cotyledons form the heart shape structures. Then torpedo shape consists of initial cells for the shoot or root meristem. Torpedo is the stage where already the shoot and root meristem tissues are separated. Then we have mature stage where the embryo becomes cylindrical. So before maturation, we have cylindrical embryo. So the stages goes like globular, heart shape, torpedo stage, and cylindrical. Okay. So what is the induction? The auxin is required for the induction, known as pro-embryogenic masses, that is formed right after auxin induction. And generally we use 2,4-D and NAA. Okay, 2,4-D or NAA, whichever one, synthetic form of auxin that we can use. And right after the induction, auxin need to be removed. So auxin is only needed for induction, little amount, then auxin should be removed. Continuous exposure to auxin inhibits the embryogenesis. Instead, it will start forming root and shoot and make the plant. Okay. Stages again similar to zygotic embryogenesis is globular, heart, torpedo, cotyledon, and germination. Cotyledonary stage is also cylindrical stage. Here you can see the real picture of how it looks like. Okay. Maturation is the last stage, require complete maturation with apical meristem, radicle, and cotyledons. Apical meristem, cotyledons, and radicle. Often obtain repetitive embryony. Storage protein production is necessary. Often require abscisic acid for complete maturation. Abscisic acid often required for normal embryo morphology. So, two hormones play crucial role in the process of somatic embryogenesis. One is auxin for induction, and right after induction, auxin need to be suppressed, otherwise it will inhibit the growth. And we also need abscisic acid for termination. Okay, for termination of the embryogenesis. Routes of somatic embryogenesis, there are two routes: direct somatic embryogenesis and indirect somatic embryogenesis. In direct embryogenesis, the embryos initiate directly from explants in the absence of callus formation. No callus formation. The process of embryogenesis is initiated directly. And indirect embryogenesis, where callus formation from explant take place first, then embryos are developed. So direct embryogenesis, here you can see the embryoids are formed directly from a cell or small group of cell without producing any callus. No callus is formed. Okay, callus formation is very common among reproductive tissue, which is avoided here. So you have explants, culture of explants in the medium, then embryoids are formed, maturation of embryoids, germination, bipolar structures formed after germination. So it says germination is what? Cotyledonary structure is there, and from there shoot and root produced. No callus anywhere. Then complete plant is formed. While indirect somatic embryogenesis callus is the first produced form of the explant. Embryos can then be produced from the callus itself. So earlier we know the embryos are formed directly from explants, but here we'll know the embryos will form callus and embryos will form from callus. So explant is taken, culture of explants in the medium, then this is unique, right? Callus is formed, then embryo formed from callus, then maturation, germination of bipolar structure, completion of the plant formation. Now the example of direct and indirect somatic embryogenesis. Example of direct somatic embryogenesis is reported in many plants such as coffee arabica, alfalfa. Okay, these are the two very common examples. And in this case, coffee arabica, alfalfa, these are examples, and leaves, succulum, hypocotyledon, all these different structures are used as explants. You see, what are the different structures used as explants? You may ask, like, why don't we can use any other place of the any tissues? Now, although the any tissues are capable, but we see different types of tissue culture, different kinds of like shoot tip culture, root tip culture, or flower culture, or anther culture. In different kinds of culture, only few set of tissues have a better outcome, more stable outcome. So you choose that. So if we use coffee arabica, then we use leaves and succulum or hypocotyle of that coffee arabica or alfalfa for the process of somatic embryogenesis. On the other hand, we see the secondary phloem structure formulation of carrot, leaf tissue of coffee, petunia. Okay. So all these things, these are indirect somatic. They are used as an indirect somatic embryogenesis. These are the tissues. They are used for this indirect somatic embryogenesis, where callus is the predominant structure that forms. From callus, they produce plants, bipolar structures. Okay. So this is direct embryogenesis. This is the indirect embryogenesis, formation of callus again in coffee. So what is the difference between somatic embryo and zygotic embryo? We'll close with this slide. There are for properties and variables, and see the difference. The variables that are formed by somatic embryo formed by sporophytic cells, but zygotic embryo formed by fertilized egg or zygote. Zygotic embryo came from zygote after fertilization event. But somatic embryo formed from sporophytic cells, only cells. Somatic embryo covered by, there is no seed membrane, seed cover, nothing. Zygotic embryo covered by seed coat. Somatic embryo output only form embryo, there is nothing else. But zygotic embryo will not only produce the plant, but the plant zygotic embryo will further produce seed. Nature of plantlets. Somatic embryo will produce weak plants, while zygotic embryo will produce healthy plants. The somatic embryo are mother plant-like in nature because they are produced from a single cell. So they have very, very high similar structures to the mother. While zygotic embryo, as they produce as a nature of a part of the reproductive process, sexual reproduction, there is high chance of variability. So not the explants and the new embryo product plants are not like the mother plant. So they are different. They have more variety possible. Propagation rate between somatic and zygotic embryo. The somatic embryo has higher propagation rate. Zygotic embryo obviously comparatively has a low propagation rate. Stability of the new plant after the birth for somatic embryo will be less, for zygotic embryo will be high or more. Okay. So these are the difference between the somatic embryo and zygotic embryo. So what are the advantages and disadvantages of embryogenesis, somatic embryogenesis? The advantage is higher propagation rate, right? Suitable for suspension culture, plantlets from single cell, genetically modified single cell. So they are identical in nature. Somaclonal variation is the only way of variation possible. Germplasm can be preserved because there is no change with generations. So germplasm can be preserved for research or for further future reference. Disadvantages of somatic embryogenesis: response tissue specific, means the way the somatic embryo will be developed depends on what kind of tissue we are utilizing it for the development. Okay. Confined to only few species. So the application of embryogenesis, somatic embryogenesis, is confined to only few species. Inability to generate large numbers of normal free-living plantlets. Inability to generate large numbers of normal free-living plantlets. And barriers to high-frequency plantlet production may occur at any number of points between induction and production of plantlets, capable of surviving and transfer to the ex vivo condition. So basically, in this case, there is a barrier of high-frequency plantlet production, because in this case, what we know is that for simple terms, when we have a single cell, we can produce same identical plants in multiple numbers, okay, and we can preserve the type of cell as a artificial like seed or synthetic seed for future times as a germplasm preservation. That's it. That's the advantages of somatic embryogenesis over normal traditional embryogenesis. Okay, because somatic embryogenesis is achievable in a lab outside of the actual environmental conditions. Okay, so you can use it for that purpose. So that's